Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Opinion Machine, the show where we talk about all things gaming. My name is Killjoy. Today we're back looking at some overshadowed music in Donkey Kong Country 2 as Diddy's Conquest, or as I used to call it, Diddy Kong's Quest. This is the sequel to the first game, obviously, and most of you are going to know that the music in this game is very well beloved, just like the first game. Bramble Blast / Sticker Bush Symphony probably being the big one, but there's also things like Forest Interlude, which is massively popular. Crocodile Catastrophe or Cacophony is the final track, and there's a few others. But this game has a lot of really good music, but I've picked three very different ones that I think do get kind of overshadowed by some of the others. Maybe not the last of the three we're going to listen to. Sorry, the second track we're going to listen to, but still, I want to talk about it. So, without further ado, let's start with Flight of the Zinger. By the way, I think all of these tracks are by David Wise in this game. There might be other composers. I actually can't remember. So what I'll do is if any of these tracks are by anyone other than David Wise, I'll put some note down in the description. But let's kick things off with Flight of the Zinger. This is actually played on one of the levels I dislike in this game, but these are the honeycomb levels. But what a cool way to start a track. Like that nice sort of synth fades in and out, just those held notes. Interestingly, this track feels like it's in two very different parts. So it sort of kicks in then and starts to build up. One thing you're probably going to note with the little sound, it almost sounds like they're whacking different pipes. I don't think that's what it is, but I feel like you play it on hitting pipes, going but that sort of builds up slowly. It starts off quite quietly and builds up, and then you obviously have those synth strings that are holding that wah, wah, and now we get a bit of drums come in to sort of. Because the thing is, the actual digga 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 thing is going quite quickly, but the strings are at like half speed, so it's kind of this nice balance of both instruments playing very differently. But now what you're doing is the track's building and building and building, and you're going to hear the drums come in, and it's going to sound like it's getting quicker and quicker. Because the digga 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 hasn't changed. Then we get that whang noise, which is very much something that got used a lot in the first game. Especially on Gangplank Galleon. See how it builds with the drums there? So the first minute of this track is just building. We just go back here. So listen to the drum hits that come in. Get quicker. Bam bam. It gets to that melody. Here's the big change. So now we have the melody being played by a piano and some strings. One thing I would just listen to, like how the change is like very suspenseful. It just hangs a little bit longer than it needs to. So it's building up. And it's just like, beautiful way of suspending the whole thing. Do. I think what's quite interesting is the fact that the melody here is being played by two different instruments, but there's no like variance. It's just they are playing the exact same thing. And then that's where it repeats. You can clearly hear it. But like, I find it really fascinating, the melody in this, because this track isn't like a lot of the other music in the game. Something you'll notice with Donkey Kong Country 2 specifically is a lot of sound effects in the music, and you'll hear that in some of the other choices I've got. In this one, apart from that bada 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 sound, which I don't know if that's meant to be a sound effect, but it just sounds like an arpeggiated chord of some kind. Other than that, the drums, it's just the two melodies on top. So yeah, digga 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 underneath. bum bum, and then just da 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 da. I do love as it goes on. So while it's playing, this is played on a beehive level. That gives me that vibe of like bees buzzing around. It's really strange. It's hard to explain, but knowing what level it plays on, this fits the visuals perfectly. But I mean, this level's an absolute pain in the ass. But I love that build. Like, you enter it, there's a lot going on. The background has bees. There's honey everywhere. You're running around a beehive. I don't know why there's a beehive in this game. And then obviously it builds up and builds up and builds up back to that melody again. The track doesn't really change. It's just a minute of, you know, basically a minute of build, and then however long for the melody as it gets louder and louder. Dum 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 dum. See if anything has changed on the second round. I don't think it does. Yeah, and it's quite a simple track, to be honest. It's one of those ones where I think it fits really well in the level that it's designed to be on, which is the beehive levels. I like it as a track. It's not one of my favourite ones, but I think it's a bit different and deserves to be like pointed out, because most people don't talk about Flight of the Zinger when talking about the soundtrack for this game. Like I said, it's always Bramble Blast or Sticker Brush Symphony and Forest Interlude and all the ones you know from the game, whereas I think this is just a little bit different. It is on the shorter side, but I do very much enjoy it. Let's move over to one of my favourites, which is Bayou Boogie. Now, I don't think this track is necessarily overshadowed. I think a lot of people do like this track, but again, it's not one of the ones that immediately comes to mind a lot of the time for people when talking about Donkey Kong Country 2. Now, this starts off with sound effects, and these sound effects play throughout pretty much the entire track. It's definitely something you, like I said, you see through the entire soundtrack of this game. It can be a little bit annoying because I want to listen to the music, but it does add to an effect. And yeah, let's just... I mean, it almost feels very inspired by In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins. That drum beat, anyway, that... boop, doop, boop, doop. And then you've got like the chirping, like birds, there's crickets in there. It's quite a long intro for what's going to run. We're all 25 seconds in. So about 25, 26 seconds before we get that. And then we get a gong, kind of like gong, bong, bong, like this low undertone. This song is very moody, by the way. And this very low-key melody. So let's break this down. So this is designed to be on swamp levels. There is a particular mood, particular vibe to this track that's quite somber, and as it changes here, you get a bit more pep to it. But let's just listen to that melody again. It's very hard to hear unless you guys turn this up. That melody that's going do 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 do. In the background, there is a very quiet, delayed version of those notes to add sort of an echo effect. You might not be able to hear it unless you're wearing headphones, but if you can't, go and listen to this track, turn it up, and you'll hear what I mean. But let's listen to that melody. It's like telling a story. Like, I don't know if other people can get that feeling and that vibe from it, but that do 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 do. It's almost like if it was words. It's like, I'm out here in the swamp. This is what's going on. It feels like a story is being told in that melody. It's a really nice vibe. It's one of the chiller tracks in the game, but it's just. And then the drums come in, and we get a bit more of a pace put onto the entire of the track. It's not like it's moving much quicker, but the drums are down behind it. You get like a sort of background. into this other new melody. Do 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 do. So what's really cool about this is that second melody, that ba 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 da ba da. It's almost like a response to the first melody. Like, that's something that I really appreciate. I don't know if that's the intention, but that's the vibe that I get from it. So if we go back here, so we just listen to that first melody, telling its story. Sort of. The visuals help with this one. So you get that slower melody, you're in the swamp, you're out in this bayou, however you pronounce it. And that's sort of your first part of it, and then you got part B, which is this do 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 do, which is like playing behind, same instrument, playing now behind this newer instrument. But with more pep to it. It says it's like a string. Holds that note. What's fascinating there is you get the ba 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 on one instrument, then you get the second part on a string, and then it finishes off with like a different instrument again. Hang on, let's just listen. So there's the original instrument almost playing in the background. So probably some kind of flute or clarinet or something would be playing this piece with a real instrument. Or even a harmonica. Well, that could be the harmonica there. That changed to a different instrument that sounds like a string instrument, right? And then we get the ba ba ba. I love it. I absolutely love the subtlety of this track. And it breaks down to the sound effects are gone at this point. And they come back in again with the drums, I think. Or they're gone for good. They're gone for good. So we get the track without that now. And the thing to remember with old platform games is you need to make the tracks kind of loop fairly regularly to get that melody stuck in your head. I absolutely love it. I think it sets a beautiful scene. I think it's a beautiful written melody, and I love the kind of part A, part B to it. That change. I would have to look up the chords, but the way that this track flows, it keeps that sort of, kind of pulls on your heartstrings a little bit. Not like some other songs, just the right chords at the right time, gives it that kind of like somber, sad feel, but keeps it moving. There's something really nice about that melody. I can't quite put my finger on what it is, but it's the way that it's like, especially that, so like I said, that first sort of like telling a story, and then that second half, that da 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 da. Da 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 da, and then the change of chord, and then plays it again. I love it. I think Bayou Boogie is a fucking awesome track, and quite frankly, I just think it's one of those ones where every time I hear it, I'm like, oh, it just hits right there. Not meaning to. I don't think it's one of these tracks that's intentionally trying to pull on the old heartstrings, but there's something about it that I can't put my finger on that really resonates with me on a personal level. All right, I'm gonna finish off today with Crook's March. This one is played on Castle Crush and Chainlink Chamber and stuff like that. This is not a track that anybody I ever hear people talking about, so I thought we'd go over this. This is a bit different again. This is a bit more sinister feeling. I love that dun 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 massive violin strikes with the beginning with the marching drum. That just, I love that. Like, first sort of couple of seconds. Love it. And they're really stabbing away. And the melody is like very bombastic. there's already so much going on. So we've got like the stabbing strings. We've now got the like glockenspiel type thing going ding 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 ding. Whatever the bass sort of sounding instrument is, which would probably be like a trombone or something going, which is currently playing the melody. And then the drums sort of just making that march in the background. Hence the name of the track being Crook's March. Oh my god, the trumpet. So this is a brass track if there ever has one. They've gone for a proper like brass band or marching band. If you were playing with real instruments, there's a lot to unpack here. So what's interesting about the bass part that's going the higher trumpet sounds are kind of like responding to what it's doing. If we just listen to that a little bit again, listen to how like the high parts respond to the low part that's being played. Very cool. No, different melody or a different instrument. Playing what is the leitmotif of the game there, the like so. This bit of music, this bit of tune pops up a lot in the game. That this bit now. So that music there, part that plays there, pops up in loads of places throughout the game, in different formats. I should say, for those who don't know, this game is very heavily pirate themed. There's a reason why this track now has gone into this weird, like, pirate sounding, sort of slightly creepy eeriness. That bum 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 bum. So it's kind of. So yeah, it's very pirate inspired. And it changes now. Woo. Right, just before we let it go, like this track is so, again, it's very different to a lot of the rest of the music in the game, and it goes very, very, very heavy in on that pirate theme and very, very sinister sounding, very eerie, kind of like ghost ship. Even though it plays in a castle, and that's the only levels it plays on, it's got like almost like a ghosty kind of like woo vibe going on. And you get that with a sound and all the other sound effects that are going on here, and then we get more of like a clarinet oboe sort of take over while the track is sort of calming down a little bit. Boom, boom, boom. The harmony. Oh, this is my absolute favourite part of the track, right, this next bit. I don't know why, it's just the instrumentation that's used. So we have this breakdown which is a bit calmer. Boop, 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 boop. Dun, 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 dun. The strings are back. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, it's absolute genius. Oh my god, that ending part is so good. Like the way that it builds and it keeps adding. So you have the strings, you've got the do. Oh my god, let's break it down. Let's get back there and break it down, what's actually happening. It's weirdly not as in your face, this track, as I remember it being. It's a lot more subtle, but it's very sinister, which I think is amazing. So in the entirety of this bit going at that boop 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 boop, which plays along with the chord and changes along with the chord, and then you get the strings coming in, and then you'll get, as we go through, you get different, like almost what would be like brass instruments playing different parts, like low part. These are the strings. Dun 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 dun, dun. Goes up. So the bass part there is really subtle, but I kind of like it. It's just going bwam bwam bwam. Do do do. So bwam bwam bwam. Boom boom boom. And it just repeats that. And the trumpet's coming at the top. And then we get this what almost would be an organ, this coming in. And they're starting to play that melody again. Like that part. I'm trying to think which bit of music that's based on. I've got a feeling it's the original Donkey Kong theme, like the jungle theme. That bit. But like, there's so many different trumpety bits going on. What a way to repurpose that original jungle theme. It's a very different vibe. It's no longer the doodly-doo, like you remember. It's a lot more grandiose here, in that more piratey vibe. But what's really interesting about this track is that this final bit almost has like a hopefulness to it, and you hear that before it goes straight back into the beginning and goes back to the original dark, sinister sound. Oh my god. I just want to listen to it from start to finish without stopping it. I honestly I forget how diverse this soundtrack is compared to... the first one's pretty diverse, and I love the first soundtrack to the first game. But there's so many out-of-place tracks in this game, and I say that with all the best intentions. Just the strong vibes of pirate, the strong sinister vibes of haha, we've got you trapped now, and then this weird section here in the middle. I'm gonna have to go and find like a live orchestra version of this track, because I feel like this would be awesome on stage. And let's remember, this is all on a SNES. The fact that I can get these vibes from like these old games always never fails to like delight me. And this is where like the hopeful but the strong trumpets coming in, the strings, the boop 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 boop. It's like a really nice build for the end of this track. What's really cool about that as well is the only percussion is that like marching band snare drum. And honestly, I forgot to mention as well, this also plays very near the end of the game. So that hopefulness, some of these levels are really hard. The final world is really difficult. And it plays on one of the hardest levels in the game, which is, what's it called? Oh, Castle Crush is one of them, but there's one where there's lava's rising or acid's rising, and it's very, very hard. And this plays, and it's like almost got that you can do it kind of vibe going on. I absolutely love this soundtrack, along with the first game. I think that these first two Donkey Kong Country games have some of the best and most inspiring video game music of all time. It's so diverse. Like I said, I think these are all written by David Wise. If any of these tracks aren't, again, I will post that at the bottom and make a note and look at the other composers that are on this game, because damn, this game has some really good music. And we're not even touching. This is why we looked at some of these tracks that are more overshadowed. People don't talk about these tracks. Maybe they might with Bayou Boogie, but the other two, Crook's March and whatever the first one was, I've forgotten now. Flight of the Zinger. Like people don't really talk about these tracks, but they're really good. They're really interesting, and I'm just fascinated. I would love to do a video on Donkey Kong Country 3. I famously do not like that game very much. I don't really rate the soundtrack, but there is a chance that I might still do it, and so we can look at some of the music. I have no idea what the popular music is in that game, so if I do it, it'll just be some tracks that I personally like that I've grabbed, regardless of whether I think they're overshadowed or not. At least in the first game and the second game's case, I know which tracks are popular, so you know, I tried to grab ones that maybe people don't know as well. Anyway, that's going to do it for me today then, guys. Thank you very much for watching, as always. If you like this video, hit like. If you want to see more content like this, then hit subscribe. Links for Facebook and Twitter will be down below in the description, as always. And until next video, I will see you then.